Try and get us in.
Right, exactly. Yeah. When we're trying to get into the club in the VIP section where Demola is.
Oh, man, knowing Corey, man, he gonna own the club real estate. Talk about I own the building.
I think the combination works, right? I think as we continue to support each other in this journey that we're on, whether Corey owns the spot or Demola brings all the fans in, it helps everybody. So I'm excited to see how things play out.
For sure.
So earlier, Elroy, when I made the comment, I was saying you're about to go chase some chicken. That was a Rocky reference.
No, I actually went outside.
Okay, I thought you was training. You was about to start punching meat.
No, I went outside to get the recycling and the trash bins. So I just gonna run it back in.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if you can see it. I actually made some tea for myself, so I had it on the table, and I
yes. I like the mug.
My Nintendo mug that I got from the Nintendo store. What was it? A couple years ago when I went to New York City. It was amazing, right? So I always drink my tea out of this as much as I can, so I can get inspired. All that stuff.
That's good, man. Oh man. So let's see. Today, we got. There's introductions, talking about ourselves and what we're all about. There's the tips, advice on how to start, in your wealth journey. How would you do it starting today if you could do it all over again? And then our by the way, what's good in your life? We still need to go over that a little bit more. What's good? What's happened? Then any individual topics. I know I want to talk about my real estate investment strategy / retirement, epiphanies. Do you all have anything that you want to bring up?
I'm excited to talk about that T-Mobile money thing, man.
Bring up that travesty.
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts. I did a little bit of research on what's really going on here with that thing. And Deborah has Sprint, so yeah, definitely some opinions and thoughts on it.
Yeah, I have no clue about that. So would love to get caught up with that because I have Sprint, which is kind of like T-Mobile, and I just upgraded to a different. I got I got the iPhone 12, right? So I don't know what's going on with T-Mobile, but yeah, let me learn about that.
So are you using the iPhone 12 via a trading type of situation with T-Mobile or Apple, where if they come out with a new phone, you trade in the old one and get the new one and just keep paying monthly?
So I actually added a line because, I'm tired of these spam calls to my personal phone. It's hard to tell what's junk and what's not, especially, I sign up for a whole bunch of stuff, right? When it comes to having a business and being, like a business owner. So for me, it was just like, I gotta control this. So I got that, but then I also paid a family phone bill. So there was an opportunity to buy one, get one, half off, or buy one, get one free. So, I got my brother an upgrade and I got myself an upgrade, but the Sprint store is not a T-Mobile store. So I just don't know how it's all set up. So I don't know if that T-Mobile money thing has something to do with that, but that's kind of my knowledge at the moment.
No, it's more explicit. Damn, you sound like a star, bro. It sounds like I'm listening to one of those calm.
You funny.
Relax. It's about to be a good day. I'm like, yes, about to go kill something.
Hilarious.
Oh man. So yeah, before we move forward, anything else y'all want to deep dive into other than T-Mobile money? Which honestly, that's not a very long topic, I don't think. So that's fine.
It can be.
Yeah, you're right. It could be.
Because for me, I'm good at going on tangents and kind of sticking around that space because there's something to it, and I know you're going to talk explicitly about your experiences, but there's something to that perk or that service that they're trying to provide. That's complementary kind of to the business. That's not a core component, but
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing that they're offering, right? Because I guess I don't want to kill everything that we're going to talk about. So let me hold off. But yeah.
All right. So with that, let's go back around real quick. Anything else that was really good that happened to y'all this week that you didn't get a chance to talk about in our early what's ups? And I got a couple of things I'll mention real quick. But do you have anything, Elroy? We'll go Elroy first.
Oh man, damn! You see, this is the thing about my last name being Ashton. I just go first for everything. Like I'm ready. So for me, in regards to last week or this week that just passed, I finally made my first video on YouTube. I didn't post it yet. I'm posting it soon, but it was fun. It was really, really fun. I think I've always talked to you guys and I've said to others that I need to play video games more because it kind of helps to balance me out. I can be kind of tense, overwhelming at times. And as I was playing this one game, Wonderful 101, I really enjoyed it. I love Power Rangers, grew up on Power Rangers. I got a ton of action figures here. And I came with the idea of like creating a video that resembles like Power Ranger morph scenes. I think I've shown it to you, Corey. I've shown it to Damola. And I think that was the highlight of my week because I had other things I should be working on. And I've shown you guys the things that came in the mail that I'm excited to actually explore, but that's really the highlight of the thing that I'm proud of just doing. I know it's not going to be like the thing that's going to change my life, but I think it was cool, right? Taking it from the original concept. I think Corey, you saw the original like single video of each player, and then then you saw the final product of them all being matched together. It's an incredible journey to kind of have that idea and put it together and see it. And I hope others get to see it too.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad you said you had fun because that's the thing that I'm thinking about in regards to my own stuff. Is just have fun. Don't worry about the analytics and just engage with people, get feedback. And so, and I'll touch more on YouTube stuff when I go. But that's good. I'm glad you have that creative outlet. That's what's important.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I got a chance to see it early. I don't know if he dropped it to you, Corey, to check out, but I was really impressed. Both of y'all, man, with your video editing skills is on point. So I gotta like get in the lab, do something, figure out how you do it. How you found time to do it too.
I'll say this, right? I'm not a very creative person. I wouldn't say I will consider myself creative, right? Because you can't just give me a brush and then I'll make some like magical stuff. I'm more of I get inspired and then I combine and tweak and try to make my own, right? And that might be creativity in some form as well, but definitely I can't start with a blank canvas and just kind of make a thing. So yeah, it's just inspiration, man. Just gotta find that inspiration, and I think there's a ton of sites, like I've mentioned to you, Damola. Even when we were doing apps and stuff in the past, I would leverage sites like Dribble, which is the Dribble with 3 B's. And then there's Beyonce, which a ton of designers exist, and they just create different art, their concepts and share it. And I get inspired from those things. So, yeah, man, you could do it too. That's what I'm saying.
That's dope. Any other updates on your end?
No, man, no. Just looking forward to the next week, man. I put a heavy deadline on myself, and I'm hoping I'm not too ambitious, and I'll share that with you guys as we get to see.
Dope. Man, on this end, I mean, my stuff is small, but still progress. So one of the things that I'm really happy about, I've been looking to buy a printer, a wide format printer, or actually kind of like a large format printer. So, I was looking to almost drive like 3 hours to pick it up. So, for the card craft business, we're looking to possibly expand into posters and prints. And, we have prints and we can do like 11 by 17, 11 by 14. I want to do like the posters that Corey has in his man cave / movie room, right? So I'm talking about like the 2 feet by 3 feet type posters. So, I lost the one that I was trying to find on Craigslist, but then another one popped up, and then not only did it pop up, but the person went and actually like delivered it and everything. So that was pretty dope. Nice win for us. And then simultaneously, like my designers one of my graphic designers, she was kind of like, just kind of doing graphic design. But, I kind of said, hey, how would you feel like to kind of step in this creative director role? And she's just rocking it so far. So I got some designs for posters and for prints. The rest of my team is continuing to step up for card craft, which is nice, right? Because it takes a little bit of pressure off. And then simultaneously, I'm running kind of like a Deloitte style audit and really just kind of inventory on the business and operations. I know that's something that we've talked a lot about. So, looking forward to that conversation. And then really good progress on the Kickstarter campaign that we're getting ready to launch. I got a really nice kind of draft that we've put together. So, those two things or three things actually have been really great for us. And then, as mentioned earlier in the call, we got a video feature, news feature, which is dope. So just looking for ways to do more of that. And then simultaneously, really just kind of grow the business is kind of some of the things that are top of mind for me at the moment.
Those are great things, man. The Kickstarter, especially, I'm looking forward to seeing the Kickstarter. I'm glad to mention the video spot again. The opportunity to link to that stuff in the description, so I'll be sure to do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be actually. Now that I think about it, that actually probably needs to go in the Kickstarter. I think one of the girls on my team will probably be able to do that.
Oh yeah. In fact, maybe, I'm not sure if you have like a little. I'm not sure if sizzle reel is the right word, but some sort of promo thing about craft and what y'all are doing. That can go in that Kickstarter. A little 30-second thing.
You just reminded me. I got word back. The LinkedIn commercial is probably going to be dropping soon. So
nice.
That was the other thing. So we got picked up by LinkedIn to do a commercial talking about B2B and how we're leveraging the Sales Navigator product. So that probably actually is another really going to splice in. Yeah, man, I'm over here. I've heard of Kickstarter. I've seen Kickstarter. I think I've maybe even contributed to a couple Kickstarters, but I never really thought that, okay, I'm going to be able to raise a decent amount of money. But like now that I'm talking to you guys and I'm actually, starting to see myself getting featured and stuff, maybe I'm just, that was the other one. So Black and Brown Founders featured me on their Instagram this week too. That was another really nice, really just kind of thing that happened. So yeah, man, slow but steady. It takes time, but eventually you get there.
Man, that sounds a lot faster than slow and steady to me, man. It sounds like you blowing up. So that's good. That's great. Myself hop back over to YouTube, the Superhuman 581 channel. It looked like it hit 25 subscribers last night. Then suddenly it's down to 18. And I don't know if it's a YouTube issue, if there were some fake accounts that did some stuff or what, I don't know. But the network came out of the blue. There were people who were like subscribing, like people I knew, because most subscribers that I've seen are people I know. I haven't seen anybody come across as someone I don't know. So I was like, oh my God, I got to the 25 goal, and then it went back down to 18. I was like, okay. So I have to see what's going on there. But yeah, in fact, Gerard had a good suggestion. He was like, hey, make some shorter vids. And that Smash video has actually got the same amount of views as the first video I put up. So it's tied for the highest amount of views right now. So that's kind of interesting to me because it's like, okay. So make sure something is topical and consumable, right? Is that. So I try to get to the analytics too much. I'd rather just listen to people's feedback and just kind of do what I'm enjoying doing right now. And save the analytics part for something further down the line when I'm trying to become more efficient. Well, once I get into Demola mode, right? Once I've got something going and then now I'm trying to streamline, do some analysis and do that stuff. And yeah, I had a really good chat with a friend and mentor of mine regarding wealth building and finances. And I'm looking forward to talking more about that in my my retirement stuff. But just this week has just been really clear about Corey's direction and where he's going and knowing where my path and my life is going to be like in the next 10 years with high confidence, right? And then, knowing that, it's like, boom, how can I now do it in 5 years, right? Or have the same 99% confidence level in 5 years. So I just got really excited, man, because I felt so empowered. It was like, man, I've been holding myself back a bit. And like my mentality really started to switch. I had a lot of conversations with well, not a lot, I guess with 3 or 4 people, which is really good, man. So I'm eager to talk about that stuff too. And that's all part of the whole retirement thing and shifting my mentality and empowering Corey a lot more. So yeah, man, I can't wait. I really felt like I upgraded this week, like I leveled up. It was really cool. So yeah. No one's got any. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. Finish, Corey.
No. I was actually going to, possibly transition topics. So no, go ahead and say what you got.
No, man. I think I wanted to come up from you just to congratulate you, right? Because that's a milestone. That's a milestone. Because if we sit down and really evaluate, where we've come from, where we're trying to go, and all of the things that you've done up to today, hasn't always been flawless. But I think those things made us who we are, made us sometimes better too, right? Because my therapist always said to me that, you can't rob somebody of all the opportunity to make mistakes, because that's what probably makes them good or better. So I say, man, salute you. And it still gets better from here, right? That people always talk about compound interest. And I think as you have more money, whether it's in a physical asset or if it's somewhere else, like, it's definitely going to churn because you put an intention into it. So that's exciting.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. So if nothing else, how about we formally introduce ourselves and what we're about, I'll say whatever you want to say about your goals in life, your aspirations, what you look to get out of this discussion, and we'll just keep it to that. Let it be very free flowing. And I'm going to put somebody on the spot to go first, right? Or should I go first?
I was going to say, go ahead. You kick it off, Corey.
Okay. All right. Hey, everybody, Corey Frazier. So basically, I'm an engineer, but also a creative person who really during 2020 started to realize just how much I was missing the opportunity to fellowship with like-minded people. And, reached out to some friends of mine, as you can see, Elroy and Demola, and was like, hey, can we talk more? Can we encourage each other? Can we support each other? Can I hear good things about what you all are doing so I can be inspired, week in and week out? And so, that's part of the reason why I wanted to get together and do this. I'm looking to, retire, in quotes. I choose lifestyle design as my choice of words because I don't really want to retire, but I certainly want to create the lifestyle I want, and I want to be able to do it within the next 5 years. So that kind of put me on a bit of an ambitious path, and I started to realize I need to be around the right people to do that and to feel encouraged, because there are various things I'm always working on. I think 2020 really exposed a lot of things from a mental as well as a physical as well as a financial standpoint that needed to be honed and developed. And honestly, if it wasn't for 2020, I probably wouldn't have really honed in on some of those things. I'm definitely probably more risk averse. I'm not sure if that's the right word. I'm not risk averse. I'm risk managing. There we go. I'm a risk manager when it comes to my investing, and I'm very much so split between the investing in stocks, but also the real estate aspects, and then hoping to create other revenue streams via creative endeavors. So, and then I have these gentlemen here to help keep me on course and help me grow and improve and hopefully be great.
Great intro. Awesome.
Yeah. With that said, how about you go next, sir?
Why not? Let's do it. Hi, Demola D Omotosho. Where do I start, man? Serial entrepreneur. I've known these gentlemen for quite a couple years, inspired by them. And, during this last year, as COVID kind of really took over all our lives, I thought it was important for us to kind of just have an opportunity to kind of fellowship, as men and, just people who have similar goals and ambitions. So, we've been kind of running this series for a couple weeks, couple months at this point, and we thought it would be good to kind of really just kind of share, our train of thoughts and really some of the progress we've made in our personal lives, our financial lives, and business as well. So I'm really excited to kick off this series. A little bit about me. I'm a immigrant, first generation Nigerian family. Grew up East Coast, Maryland, D.C., schooling out East, Virginia, New York, before making myself at Pacific Northwestern. So been out here in about 10 years now. It's been about 10 years. And during that time, had lots of experience working in enterprise, software development, B2B, those kind of things. And then most recently, really have been diving more into building my own business and mentoring others as they start to get their businesses off the ground. So, had some experience being part of either Techstars, TechCrunch, 500 Startups, a couple of the different accelerator programs. And then currently, I day job as a software technical architect for startups at Microsoft. So, there's you might see me talk a little bit about apps, get really excited. I love building apps. I love making apps. I love working on apps. Elroy will tell you we've done some work together. And, I am a married man now. So really happy about that in the last year or whatnot. And yeah, really just looking forward to fellowshipping, discussing, introducing our strategies for finance and really just growth to you all and to the rest of the world. So a little bit about me, myself, and what I'm really happy about, which is the opportunity to share, learn, and grow.
Damola, I want to shed a tear for that. That's boring. Gee, that's like a book, intro on a book, or in the back page. So I'll go next then. My name is Elroy Ashton Jr., right? I'm really, really glad to be here with you fellows, man, because for someone like myself, coming from the US Virgin Islands, I didn't have exposure to a lot of things, right? My family has entrepreneurs, they have educators and other professions. And, I chose to be an engineer, a computer engineer to boot, right? And after being inspired, then, working on the local bank, and then, coming to the US here in Florida, where I did my undergrad, and, brought me all the way out here. And it's so funny because Corey and I could have crossed paths multiple times and we just didn't know it, whether it was at the University of Central Florida, whether it was at United Space Alliance in Houston. But what was great is that we didn't, and we have now, right? And I think that's really built our friendship and opportunity for me and you, Damola, and Corey to just kind of really engage with one another here, because I think we're like-minded, right? Because one of the big goals for me, I spend time doing is, understanding my life philosophy, right? Understanding where I want to go in my life beyond, myself. I'm focusing on the community through my volunteerism, focusing on, how do I create some level of a legacy, whether it's financially, how do I work smarter, not always harder? And it's really big. A big part of that too is maintaining relationships, right? And fostering relationships, So for me, I'm excited to continue dialoguing with you guys, as well as spreading whatever positivity that I can bring, right? Because I think the one thing that I always say is, you could be disappointed because things don't always work out the way you expect, but don't be deterred, right? You want to stick at it because something else may come out of it, even if you have to pivot or change it a little.
Man, you two have some really, really great intros, man. And just to kind of put a bow on everything you two just said, we've been doing this since about August of 2020, right? And then we all kind of thought, hey, we're young men of, well, I'm youngish. We're young men, right, of some degree of success, right, and what I would consider to be good character. And the discussion is not only our growth, but like you said, Elroy, our legacy. With our altruistic natures, our philanthropic natures, how do we help other people? With the things we've learned, how do we do it at scale? How do we share our growth, our learnings while we're learning, right? Being vulnerable and saying, hey, these are the things I've learned, these are the mistakes I've made, here's how to correct it, or here's my successes, right? None of us are necessarily experts or gurus. Actually, that's not a politically correct term, is it? You can't say that anymore. None of us are experts. How about that? But we are people who have learned and seek to help other people learn, right? And so with that said, I think that's a really good segue into one of our key topics is, if you were starting out and building your wealth, right, and building this legacy, how would you do it? Like what would you do?
So I could go first if no one else wants to go. So let me take you back to how I started, right? For me, when I first came out of college, got my first job, I got introduced to investing through my dad, right? And the investments focused around penny stocks, because for him, he was like, you can make this money, it's stuff is like a penny or less than a penny, and if it just goes double your money. And for me, I was like, wow, it's that easy, it's that simple. A penny, that's nothing, And I can tell you guys that I didn't know much beyond the things that my dad was recommending or sending me text messages. And I created my Scottrade at the time account and started investing and lost everything. I can't tell you one penny stock that I made money on. And it was a good learning lesson, right? It was a lesson in, for me, understanding what you're investing in versus just hearing what people recommend, right? Because I know so many people today that just hear something on CNBC or wherever and just be like, yo, I'm gonna do that. Or they read an article on Yahoo Finance and they're like, yo, I'm gonna do that, right? So it's like, you need to really understand, for me, I think the biggest part is the fundamentals. And with the fundamentals, but just to cut my things short, is that one of the big things I think Dumola and you have learned about me is I love fundamentals, right? I love understanding how the business functions. I love understanding what the products are and the core competencies and the strategies that they're executing on. And that's really helped me in my journey when it comes to investing versus just looking at the technical indicators, looking at the short term. For me, I'm looking at the long term and how this business may grow, change, adapt, impact the lives of others or even my life. So definitely that's the thing that I wish I had done, because a lot of companies and a lot of choices that we've made, we look back, what was it, 10 years ago, because I started about 10 years ago. And I said, man, if I had invested in that person, or not person, but that company, I would have said, I'm better today, right? I got this much money. But we have to think long term sometimes, because we can invest at that $3 stock 10 years ago and see it go to $10 and say, whoa, I tripled my money, I'm done. But today the stock is $90, right? So you just never really know. And I think there's wisdom in other people. And I think reading is fundamental as well, right? Whether it's books, whether it's articles, whether it's, any type of material that you can find that can educate you. And I think the more I can speak to that, and Corey, you can speak to that as well. Like, I'm an avid reader. And for me, I think that's the one thing that really helped me understand what's my investment philosophy around choosing companies, stocks, index funds, whatever it may be.
So what books would you, or articles or sites, YouTube channel, whatever it is, what would you recommend that people kind of read or get patched into to get started, since that's a big part of your ability to have the knowledge you have and to make the moves you make? Like what would someone starting out do or start reading to get the basics and the fundamentals?
So for me, one of the things I would say is there's Yahoo Finance, which is great. I think everybody knows about Yahoo Finance, right? And what Yahoo Finance allows is just a baseline. Don't use it as a definitive on only thing, but just give you a sense of the company, some of the fundamentals that they provide, which may be for free or not for free at this point. But it's really a good foundation. And I love the tools, the graphs, all those things help to become insightful. Another thing that I look at and you leverage is this site or application called Simply Wall Street. And Simply Wall Street is really cool because they focus on the fundamentals, right? Strictly, how is the business doing from the past to the present? Who are some of their competitors? Because then it allows you to see, and even some of the news articles, or whether it's financial, whether it's strategic, whether it's management level, what's going on. Because I think those things help to give you a sense of, does this have staying power? Are they differentiating themselves? Are they executing? Because then that leads to potentially a higher stock price or greater sentiment, positive sentiment for those companies as well. And you talked about books. One of the interesting things for me is that I've got tons of recommendations because I have a subscription to Overdrive, an app that allows you to actually borrow or lend books from the library. And it's been an incredible asset for me when it comes to getting books about learning, right? So one of the books that I've read and actually continuously borrow, and I think Jamal will speak to some of the books that he owns, is the little book of Common Sense Investing, right? A lot of folks want to trade in and out of things pretty quickly, and I think there's a ton of research that says people that trade in and out of things, that do day trading, don't traditionally always make money. But sometimes I think the simple approach is the index funds, which I do as well, which is the buy and hold approaches, because again, the market tends to traditionally go up 7% almost, or something around that every year. So you can't really lose with that. But again, it's super conservative. It's not a GameStop or anything that might be hot and heavy where you can make 100% in less than a year. But again, I think there's a lot of fundamental things or books written by John Bogle and others that are really, really good finds.
All right.
100% agree. I'm gonna flip it on you, Corey. What are some of your wealth building strategies and things that you've learned coming up, right, that you would like to share with us, and we'll be talking about over the coming episodes?
Okay. Man. So I kind of prepared, kind of didn't. But I'll just speak from the heart on this. Now, try not to be lengthy. So there's a lot of things I wish I would have done more. I'm just going to kind of go through the big bowl of regretty list real quick, right? Which is, I wish I had been more consistent in my investing. There was an absent period in my mid 30s where I wasn't investing heavily. It was mainly just my 401k, right? I would have invested more in real estate. And as you all who are probably watching this may or may not be able to gather, that we each have our areas of concentration and kind of sectors, right, that we've been playing in. Elroy's more in the investing side. Demo's been a lot in the entrepreneurial, startup space, and I've been a bit more in the real estate space, but we're all at the same time involved in each and every one of those sectors, but we're able to complement each other. So I would have, definitely bought more real estate in the 2010s, early 2010s, but going back to my 20s when I started, there's a book that I found, and I wish I had paid attention to. So this was the first book on investing I ever bought back in 2005. Wow. So I was like 24-ish, something like that. 100 stocks you should buy, or the best you could buy. And I don't know if this book even has a 2021 edition. I don't know if it even matters right now the way the stock market is going and what's going on with it. But if you flip through, it's got all the stats, and it goes through all kinds of details about each company. This is a book I really wish I came back to, not because of the stock listing, but because in the first 40 pages, it talks a lot about basic terminology and how to look at balance sheets and things like that. And as a new person trying to get started in investing, when I read this book, the whole which companies to buy was very daunting, was intimidating, right? I mean, there's so many stocks out there, and you see so many people winning, right, all the time. And it's like, okay, what do I do? And to Elroy's point, being diversified and just investing like in a general index or something like that was probably a good idea. So like if I go back to page 40, I think it's page 40, around there. Yeah, basically, it says novel approach to asset allocation, right? And in here, he says that one of the smartest things to do is to just diversify yourself when you get started, right? In investing. Just diversify. Don't worry about trying to get all the hot stocks. So if I was, thinking nowadays, don't worry so much about buying the Teslas, the Neos, the whoever it is. Just simply put your money aside into an index fund, right? To give yourself the diversity and to really build a portfolio that has, that touches different sectors, right? And is tied to the Dow Jones or the S&P 500, whatever it is. And I remember him saying, by at the time it was IVV, it was the DIA, and which I think is the Dow Jones Diamonds Index and the S&P 500. All these different ETFs and index funds, also the BXF, the Vanguard Extended Market Index, right? And that's actually how I started. As I said, okay, I got some money, and it wasn't a lot of money at the time, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to put half of it split between these three index funds that cover S&P 500, Dow Jones, and then extended market. And then I'm going to put the other half. I'm going to start investing in things I want to do, like, I like Nintendo, right? So put in Nintendo. I didn't have Apple products, but everybody's trying to find this new iPhone. Man, that sounds weird. This new iPhone. Man, dating myself here. So it's like, okay, we should just do that, right? Then that way you're secure and you're diversified, right? Early on, and then you're still learning the stocks. I think everybody tries to run before they can crawl. Let me learn everything I can learn about stocks and get in and try to make money and be rich. Because right now the stock market is like a casino to a lot of people. And instead of let me just put my money somewhere, let it just grow while I'm still growing and learning. Because there's no way you're going to become a stock expert in a span of like a year making tons of money. Why not put your money somewhere where it's going to steadily grow? And you don't have to think about it. And that's one of the big things looking back on is that, man, and I'm exaggerating it, but you could just put your money in index funds and not know a dang thing about the stock market. Just know which funds to put it in. Now you have to think about it. And I think we get too concerned with trying to keep up with the Joneses. Having said that, the other thing I think is important, some people will disagree, but I do think diversifying your wealth to include things like maybe other business opportunities or real estate like rentals or whatever, I think is important just because, again, it's diversifying yourself. And at the end of the day, putting your money in the stock market is also great, but you're also looking to do this to replace income, right? And to have an income that generates so you can live off of it. And so a real estate investment is a good way of supplementing that. And so those are some of the early things. In fact, what I would do to just be cut to the chase and not to be so abstract is I would put a lot of my money, like 70% into funds, just put it in there. Don't even have to think about it. Just know which funds to put it in. 30%, you're picking and choosing the companies you support. If you wear a bunch of Jordans, put some money in Nike, right? Or whatever it is. And then I would spend more of my time and energy learning real estate, learning taxes, because those are the things that, take a little bit more effort to know the right things to do and to go build, not only the asset and the capital, but also the ability to generate income, right? And to bring in cash flow, because that's what it's all going to be about, right? So anyway, that's me in a nutshell.
That's dope. That's dope. And I agree with a lot of what you said is in absence of deep knowledge of the market and stocks and investing, at the bare minimum, you should be doing your company's 401k and then just looking for broad market funds. So, as I reflect, man, like, once again, I'm 10 years here in Portland now. And really, I would say 10 years into my career, right? Making real money, right? And, I think for me, I was really lucky and blessed in that I had growing up a lot of family and support in terms of just like mentorship, and then seeing like my aunts and my uncles just do things like create businesses, start doing real estate. I like everybody has that Nigerian uncle, but this is like an actual rich Nigerian uncle. So for me, that had a huge influence on me growing up. I remember when I was in elementary school, like I as early as I remember, I was always trying to figure out how to make money, right? So I would go to the dollar store, I'd buy, a pack of Pixie sticks for 100 Pixie sticks or something like that. And then I would flip that bag and I would sell it for like $10, right? So for me, that's kind of where it all started. And, just hearing my uncle talk about things as a kid, I started like trying to understand more about trading and stocks. I got my first job when I was 14, which was great because I think learning the value of money and hard work and working, I worked at McDonald's for almost 4 years before I graduated from high school. And for me, that was very transformative in the sense that like I had a very early introduction to what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. So I knew that I didn't want to work at McDonald's just because, you were doing a lot of work and the return on investment wasn't as great. So for me, that really kind of solidified that, hey, I wanted to figure out a way to kind of grow money, grow funds, and not do something that, was as taxing, say physically. And what was interesting about that for me is early on, I realized that I had this knack for computers. Like I would work on a computer all weekend and it would feel like no time was passing. So when I made that connection and I realized that, hey, there was something to this computer thing and not everybody could do it. The rest, as they say, was kind of history. So, one of the things that I was really fortunate about when I got into college is I met this kind of core group of friends, still good friends that I stay up with today. And computer engineering at Virginia Tech was not easy. And I wouldn't have got it through it if it wasn't for these people. But what was really transformative was not just, having people to go through that program with, but just their views on life. And then the bond that was formed and the trust that was formed, right? So to the point where when we graduated, one of my good friends, he was one of the first ones to kind of get his first job offer. He got a job offer at the agency that is in Fort Meade, Maryland, right? And he bought a house like almost immediately, or probably like less than 2 or 3 years after graduating from college. And like it was just such like a mind blowing concept to me. I went to go do my master's after that. But one of the things that he recommended, one of the books he recommended for me when I graduated was this one, I'll Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And one of the things that you'll see as we kind of have our conversations is that we're all avid readers on this call. I had a period of time where I would go to parties with books. Corey and Elroy will tell you it's actually probably a bad habit, but I mean, anywhere they saw me, I always had a book in my hand. And the reason for that is because if somebody takes the time to actually put their thoughts down on paper, right, that usually means that they've put a lot of thought into it, right? They've had an editor look at it. And for me, what was good about this book was I got this very early in my career. So from day one, I put into action the plans and the recommendations that this book really kind of highlighted, which is, to save and really kind of live the lifestyle that you lived when you were in college for a little bit while you were still used to that, right? I think what happens, a lot of people graduate, get out of college, they get that first paycheck, balling. Me, I moved to Portland, Oregon. I got a $700 apartment, right? And I lived as close to work as possible because I still had some student loan debt, right? I had some scholarships, but for me, I just the growing up, the way I grew up, the way I kind of viewed money, debt never really like sat well with me. Meaning that like I don't like owing anybody anything, right? So prioritize that and prioritize the saving strategy here. I didn't know a lot about finance, that kind of thing, but I knew that I should be maxing out my 401k or doing as much as I could towards my 401k. I didn't know a lot about really just compounding interest at that time, but I just knew that, hey, I'm paying more money than I should on this money that I borrowed. So let me pay this off as soon and as fast as I can. And for me, one of the things that also happened very early in my career was really the opportunity to be in what was called a rotational engineering leadership program. And I got a chance to kind of see like early on, like corporate politics. That shaped a lot of my like financial strategy, a lot of my decision making when it came to how I would approach advancement. And for me, what I learned early was like, I didn't really want to play the corporate game, right? I could do it, right? And, I was half decent at it, but I was just always such a fundamental like worker, right? That I didn't want to play the politics and, try to make my performance review look amazing. I just wanted to do great work, right? And be the best engineer that I can be. And what that led me to was maybe getting passed over for promotions, that kind of thing, and really kind of doubting maybe like my worth and my contribution as an engineer. And that's actually really what kicked off my desire to do things outside of Intel at the time. And this was, once again, 1 year into the job after, you come from college and you think that you should be doing all these things. So I got into entrepreneurship early, attending startup weekends, and looking at ways I could take my skill set, my strengths, in order to kind of do something outside of the day job, because I didn't want my worth as an engineer or as an entrepreneur to be tied to, the valuation that I got back from my day job. So one thing led to the next. I got connected with other entrepreneurs, Part Pick, Jewel Burks, and ended up going to TechCrunch Disrupt, and really just after that experience realized there was an opportunity to take the skills that I had learned at the day job combined with just my passion for learning and engineering and my ideas, right, to take that same hustle when I was in elementary school and turn it into a hustle with the software game. So a lot of my strategy was based on fundamentals, as Elroy mentioned, which is, do the basics, do your research, learn about these things. Get this book if you haven't. If you don't read any other book, this is the one I would recommend personally. But then also just being very disciplined about being purposeful about learning. I think when you're still in that phase out of college, out of university, or really just as you're kind of like younger, you're going to be more open to things. Some of the other books that I really, and authors I really recommend, is Brian Tracy. As you can see, I read his book pretty thoroughly, right? And this book on self-discipline and no excuses is one that I highly recommend. And then just for kicks, to round out your arsenal, you should actually go ahead and read the Steve Jobs book as well. So these were just a couple of the books that I personally invested in, and things that really kind of motivated me and made me think that, hey, you know what? I have the capacity and ability to do great things. I'm going to use my day job, that's what I call my current work, as a funding vehicle, right? And set up a system that allows me to take the funds that I'm getting to funnel into my personal passions, my personal growth, more risky ventures, crypto. You'll hear me talk a lot about that. But for me, growing up, I think the only thing I probably would have done different was actually take more risk. And then, funny enough, while taking risk, follow a plan. Like, I know those kind of seem like opposites, but have a plan. Having a plan, has worked for me 9 times out of 10 when it comes to my financial goals, my business goals, all of the above. So for me, I wish I would have understood that earlier, right? And really been more open to ideas and really kind of doubling down on my learning even more than I was at the time. So that's my experience, some of the things that I hope to be able to kind of enlighten and talk about. I've had a lot of mistakes, had some successes as well, but I think that at the end of the day, you want to make sure that the successes continue to stack up and just outweigh the failures by one. And I think with this group of guys, you'll definitely get that through this series.
Yeah, man, that was great. I know a couple of things you touched on. We should probably have a whole topic on the nature of that sense of whether or not you're contributing and feeling like you're doing enough, and whether or not you feel like you're getting what you deserve, or if it's imposter syndrome. That's probably a whole another topic for another time for us to discuss. But I also like the fact you talked about, one of the things I was thinking about while you were talking, it's something else I would have done when I was younger, was taking the time with some of that energy to start something, right? Build something, grow something, have that entrepreneurial mindset, and look at all different possibilities, and not jump straight into the structure and the systems that are already there for how you're going to build your wealth and find your passions and work, right, or whatever it is. Actually take some more chances, assuming you've got other things sitting there fundamentally, foundationally doing all right. So,
I'll say one thing before we shift, if that's where you're going, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked all the comments you made, Jamal. For me, when I think back to being a child, I had stints of entrepreneurship as well. And I think that's even worth us exploring or even talking about here, because I don't think we've talked about what we've done as children, right? Because, yeah, that stuff got me really excited. And I think you hit on a lot of the points. I mean, especially with your books when it comes to investing. And one of the things I thought about was, we read a lot, we learn, we're definitely not ashamed of not knowing, right? Because I think that helps us really explore those things. And I think we'll realize as we get older, and I've heard this from leaders as well, you may be a leader, but you don't know everything, right? And you realize that a lot of leaders don't know everything, right? So, but that doesn't make them a poor leader or a bad leader. Those that go and seek out the information or surround themselves with people that know allows them to really execute or really deliver. So I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to really touch on some of these different topics that we kind of gave a little drop size stuff about. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, man. I think that's one of the reasons why the three of us really work very well in these sessions, and just as friends is in general. It's just that we all seem to have the same elements, but we've invested heavily in one stat here, one stat there, and we're able to complement in what we know. Because like you said, we've all had or still have, right, entrepreneurial pursuits, right? And Demola happens to be the person who's really just all in, going and living it up in that space. And we're trying to ride your coattails / be inspired by you, whichever one comes first. Yeah. So specific topics wise, we got T-Mobile money, and I want to talk about my retirement / real estate strategy with you guys. Some of the insights I have. Which one you want to delve into first? I do have about 23 minutes, and I gotta head out. But
I was gonna say, what fits in 23 minutes, and let's do that.
Honestly, I think both of them would.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do the T-Mobile thing first, and then we can finish off with your stuff, Corey.
All right, sounds good. So you want me to kick off T-Mobile thing? Kind of my just this. Okay, so let me. All right. Let me tell you what the plan was, how beautiful it was going to be. I was going to take my savings. I was going to be like, hey, my 3 to 6 months of savings, right? I'm going to move this over to T-Mobile money because I'm a T-Mobile customer. I'm going to get that 4%, APY, on the first 3,000 and 1% on anything else because no other bank is offering this right now because the rates are, just tanking. So I'm like, this is going to be great, right? And so I started shifting my money over. You can only shift over so much at a time, but I started shifting it over. Then yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, T-Mobile announces. Before we do that, the requirement to get the 4% interest rate on the first $3,000 in the account, you have to make a monthly deposit of $200. Which isn't that hard. You can make $200 deposit, take it right back out if you want, whatever, right? Not that hard. Actually, pretty convenient. At least relatively speaking. So 2 days ago, they changed the policy. They announced that they will be changing the policy, and I'll flash this up maybe in editing. But they announced that after March 31st. You will have to make 10 purchases with the debit card per month to get the 4% interest rate on the first $3,000 and 1% after. If you don't do that 10%, you just get 1% interest rate, which honestly is still better than most banks. But having said that, not happy. It's a lot more of a pain in the butt to create 10 charges on a card that you aren't intending to use, and just have money for your savings or just have your savings in an account accruing interest than it is to just deposit $200. And what's irritating about this is that they framed it in the framework of it being better for the customer in some way. And everyone's like, how is this better for the customer? This is harder for us to do, right? Especially if you weren't using T-Mobile money as your primary, accounts for spending, right? But you're using it for saving. So all that to say, I'm a bit torn as to what to do with the money because it's still a better rate, even if I don't do the 10 charges. But this is obviously some kind of ploy where it's like, okay, the $200 by doing the 10 payments, 10 charges, right, with the card, 10 transactions, I should say, with your card, you're going to be meeting that $200 per month goal, whatever it was, right? That they had strategically set up. They needed you to do that to retain certain amounts of money in the whatever the big coffers are for T-Mobile money or the bank. I can't remember the name of the bank that they actually do the banking under. I know everyone's about to come with that insider knowledge in a second. But whatever it is that they had set up with that $200 requirement is easily going to be met by you doing 10 transactions because you got to have money in the account. So they just made it such that you're going to keep more money in the account, I guess. Or you're going to have more money, or they're going to have more transactions. Either way, I'm a bit frustrated because I was looking forward to these gains, but I'm ready to hear the insight. I'm ready to hear the Professor Ashton thoughts and strategically, what is T-Mobile trying to do here?
Okay, so for me, again, this is just my opinions, right? I'm not providing any financial advice to anyone. But one of the things when you talked about T-Mobile money, I said, okay, cool, this is very interesting, right? Because what is T-Mobile's core competency, right? They provide services, communications, to allow people to communicate with one another using a fundamental thing that we have today, which is our mobile phones and other devices. Okay, and then where does the money come in, right? And I get what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to create another perk or another service because, again, financials or financial systems or companies or fintech is huge now, right? Everybody's either using Square, Venmo, PayPal, one of those. And then in Asian countries, they have so many other apps there as well. So for us as consumers or just citizens of different places, like, we're looking for opportunities, and T-Mobile wants to differentiate itself from its competitors, right? Or from its parent companies, like the AT&Ts, like the Verizons, because here's the thing, the AT&Ts of the world have Warner Media, right? So that's how they differentiate. They gave their unlimited or some of the customers that they have on their different plans access to HBO Max, right? Or streaming service. And what does T-Mobile have, right? We see the commercials all the time, T-Mobile offering, you get this free streaming service with, whether it's Netflix, Spotify, or something, whatever is at the time most popular. But again, that's those relationships with those other brands, and it's somewhat promotion. T-Mobile money kind of isn't like them promoting Cash App or some partnership like that. They're using Bank Mobile, which is a segment within a company called Customers Ban Corp, right? Which is an interesting thing because you're like, what is that, right? I've never heard of that thing before, especially because my question always was, first, how is T-Mobile doing this, right? Because a lot of these companies want to get our monies. Bank works with you having you invest the money or put the money in your account, and then they're investing it on the back end. That's how they're able to pay you the dividends or the interest, right? And the thing that you talked about too, Corey, is this. You said T-Mobile money is creating greater requirements to get to the interest rate. Because when I saw it, I was like, yo, 4%, shoot, that's higher than a lot of high yield savings accounts. Because I have a high yield savings account today, and it's 0.5%. Is that high, Andrew? I mean, compared to the regular banks, you're definitely getting something better with 0.5, but 1% or 4%, game changer. But again, like you said, 4% up to $3,000. And my thing here was this. There's no get-rich scheme. There's no get-rich scheme, right? Again, as companies roll out new products, they realize and they look at the adoption. Anything that you do, you have to measure it to understand the effectiveness and how successful it can be so that you can make tweaks. Because, and this is associated, but kind of a derivative. We use LastPass today, right? Devil and I use LastPass for our password management. They sent me an email and said, you can no longer access LastPass on multiple devices. You need to upgrade to the LastPass Premium to access multiple devices. Free only allows you to access one device type. So again, the assumption when we initially used LastPass, was like, whoa, we get this free tool, we can use it on phone, laptop, blah, and now it's changed. But my thing is, Corey, most of us here on this call may have a credit union account, right?
Mhm.
Which has checking accounts that offer a little bit higher interest rates than the regular banks of the world. But they require, and I think we all could attest to it, that you make 10 transactions to get to the whatever percentage. So T-Mobile isn't doing something brand new or something that's very uncomfortable or not seen before. But
Mhm.
I completely understand that the assumptions and the expectations you had initially are changing as the product matures.
No, you're right. You're right. And so, because in most people, like I was going through Twitter and I just typed in, hashtag T-Mobile money, and it's just anything that's recent is people complaining, right? And it's because no one, I won't say no one, that's not fair. A significant number of people, how about that? We're looking to use this as a savings option, not as a checking option, right? As in, my monthly transactions kind of thing. And so that means that either someone's rethinking their strategy, like you said, there are other options out there, other credit union options that will have a similar, transaction requirement, that would give you a higher interest rate than what you're seeing generally across the board at banks, right? For savings and checking. But I think a lot of people were just kind of blindsided, and I think to a lot of those folks' point on social media. And to your point, T-Mobile was differentiating themselves, right? They were in some way saying, "Look at us, we're doing it different. We're continuing to do this breaking the mold kind of thing that you've gotten used to over the past couple of years, and building all this great, good faith with people, and how we're looking out for you as customer / people." And when they changed this, they also framed it as, "This is better for you as the customer," and everybody's like, "No, it's not." In their email. I'm not sure if you got the email or not. I'm not sure if you signed up officially or not. But yeah, the email was like, we're making this change for you. And it's like, no, you ain't.
So I was gonna comment on something, and this is a slightly different perspective, and I think a lot of this comes from this feeling of like just not having enough time, right? So the term seeking alpha, right, is like really just indicating like getting these returns, right? And when you think about a 4% APY, right, that's a great return. Especially if you could just put the money in there. I mean, no bank is offering that. And I think, to Elroy's point, like you got to kind of wonder, what the heck is T-Mobile doing in that space? If that's not their core competency, what are they doing that many established brands and companies and financial people are not doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
To give me this kind of return. My mom has the saying, if it's too good to be true, it's usually because it exists, right? So I guess we shouldn't be surprised with this outcome. But my perspective on this is one of actually, figuring out ways to set up financial systems so that I don't actually have to spend too much time thinking or worrying about them, right? So in the example of, hey, getting that 4%, there's, whether we like to admit or not, there's probably a calculation for how much each of our hours and our time is worth, right? And there's an argument to be made that like, yo, is there a better use for your time? Is there a better place for that money to go, right? And that's kind of what I have been trying to really kind of wrap my head around and evaluate, right? As I'm making decisions about, where to bank, where to invest, like which exchange I should use versus the other, right? When I'm dealing with crypto. And in this case, this is one of those times where, the question that, I'll put to you is like, is there potentially a better place for that money to be from an opportunity cost standpoint, right? And then not only that, but in terms of managing another account, I know we got LastPass and a lot of different ways to kind of, manage multiple accounts these days. I mean, I think the gentlemen on this call are the ultimate spreadsheet trackers. But for me, where I've kind of settled when it comes to this kind of thing is just like, my most valuable asset is my time and my ability to learn and grasp more knowledge. Anything that kind of takes me off of that path, I try to not necessarily stay away from, but it has to be like, look, this is going to be a significant amount of return. But because if I think I can get 4% by learning how to code something or tweaking this or learning about maybe more about marketing, right, for my business, that's a better use of my time, and that's a better use of my investment, not just capital, but also in terms of just like opportunity cost. So just a different perspective on that, just because I think we're going to see more of this. And I'm saying this just in the crypto space, I'm seeing like 8% APY. I'm seeing like people who are letting you loan your money out. They're going to give you 10% interest, right? And there's a part of me that's like, oh man, let me give them 50K. And then there's a part of me that's like, how are they doing this and why are they doing this, right?
So one of the things I agree with you, Damon. One of the things I would say is that, you know, when you look at present value, future value, we need to really be considerate of what we're trying to do with our lives and the hard-earned money, right? Because I don't think any of us have got to a point where yet, and a lot of people haven't got to a point yet, where money's just coming in and they're sleeping and it's happening, right? A lot of us have to do a thing, whether it's sell a product, do a service, something else, and get that money. And we can think about it one way. When I look at the carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, right? Verizon and AT&T offers you additional perks per se. You get this unlimited plan, X, Y, and Z. You get free blah, blah, blah streaming services, right? AT&T says, you know, you get free streaming service of this specific kind. T-Mobile now does similar things, but then now here they say, we offer you a different product where you can give us $200 per month and get 4% in interest. Nobody is doing that. So is that a greater value to you as a T-Mobile customer versus being an AT&T or a Verizon customer, right? Because that's a lot of return versus what you would typically get with other things. I think the thing that would be surprising, Corey, for all of us is that if we sat down and look at all the transactions that we do per month, yes, you know, at this time we're going through, you know, this global pandemic and those are items, but we're shopping online still. So those are transactions. When we look at that, we say, okay, can a small segment of my transactions be this card or T-Mobile, right? And I reap the benefits of that. Of course, it'll be probably a 1% if, you know, because not everybody's on T-Mobile. But for those that are and for those that aren't, 1% is still better than a lot of the high yield saving accounts that exist today. So I think it's a value add. I get your complaint about being early and it changing. And that's what usually happens. You're early adopter, you're going to experience some friction. What would be nice is if you were grandfathered into some type of experience. But again, how new is this product for that to even still apply, right? But I think you're onto something, man, and I hope you don't become totally deterred from considering T-Mobile if it doesn't add value to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I guess I want to clarify this. This isn't money I'm investing or nothing like that, right? This is my savings I'm keeping because, you know, things happen, emergencies, but it might as well earn a couple of $100 possibly per month, you know, if that's the case, if it's just going to sit there, right, for a minute. And to your point, Demola, well, to Elroy's point, using Demola's insight, I think trying to set it up so I get the 10 transactions, I'm not sure that's worth the time, right? Because that means I have to start changing credit card stuff. All my stuff comes out of my checking. That means I need to start allocating certain money to the T-Mobile place for that checking stuff. But that's supposed to be my savings. So now I got to start mentally keeping track of how much savings.
You got to start calculating.
Now everything it's at its limits, right? It's like, hey, anytime I'm past this line, this is gravy. Now I have to start monitoring this line in the T-Mobile account, my main USA checking account. It's like because now it's mixing, matching stuff, and I'm like, I can put an extra time and energy into something else. Not that it's a ton of time and energy, but it's also a lack of security. And so I'm kind of like, I mean, to my point, I'm disappointed about the 4% on the first 3,000, which is probably a difference of maybe $100 per month or something like that. Less you're gonna get, or something like that. 1% versus 4%, or maybe it's like $75. I don't know. I'm just ballparking, right? Less you're gonna get, but 1% is still freaking awesome. I mean,
absolutely.
even when things were good, I was seeing, I think the best I saw was like 1.2 or something, maybe a 2 somewhere. I don't know if you found some online bank, but I get kind of suspicious of that stuff too. At some point, I'm like, what's going to happen? Because all those people who were doing like super high interest rates collapsed, the moment everything, changed in last year. So it's still really good. It's just, I think what made it terrible was the framing that it was for you. And maybe I'll do a screen clip and show you all the email that they sent and how they're responding to people on Twitter. It's like, it was like, really? Y'all can just be honest and just say, hey, we're just going to change it because we're just going to change it. Right? Instead, customer. And it's like, no, it's not at all.
It's their business. They're not a government entity that's supposed to be about the people. Their business trying to make money. And for them, that's why LastPass and others move away from freemium models that give you so many different features or capabilities to something that's smaller and tries to navigate you to the paid thing, right? T-Mobile is trying to create a service that has tremendous value, but at the same time, they see what you guys are doing and they realize that it was something that they didn't anticipate. Because I think that's the thing we learned, right? You create a product and you're like, oh, wow, people are actually using it this way. Well, let's see if we can catch them over on this side, right? And I get it. People feel deceived. People feel like you're changing the rules on them and expectations. Some people will leave, but some people may still go there. And even new people might still join. Because again, there's nothing as good as this that they're familiar with. A lot of people are familiar with the T-Mobile brand, even if they don't have T-Mobile as their mobile phone provider. So it's really, really going to be an interesting turn of event to see how this progresses throughout the year, especially because, again, it's so new. And as we come out of this, maybe add additional value, additional perks. Because AT&T offers a perk as a customer where you can get discounts on movie tickets and different things. And T-Mobile may do something similar with this, similar to what Cash App is doing, right? So there may be some synergies there in terms of what they may end up doing as well. It'll be crazy if they start doing an investment capabilities or something like that. That'd be crazy. They buy some Bitcoin and then you start trading that. But hey, who knows, man? Who knows? Again, it's just my opinions.
Awesome, man. So we got a couple minutes left. Anybody got anything? Any insights? Anything you want to leave us or leave anybody else who sees this with?
You know me, I got to get on my crypto soapbox for a second. If you haven't already, please go buy some Bitcoin or buy some cryptocurrency. Sorry, I'm joking. We're not financial advisors, but one thing I have been keeping track of and I've been looking into a little bit is really just like standards. So there's another book that I would highly recommend called The Bitcoin Standard for those who are interested. Check it out. It just kind of talks about money standards through the years. So, going from, I think, tulips to there were stones that were exchanged. We had actual coins with gold as a metal. And then also, we in 1971 switched to the fiat standard or whatnot. So standards change, and that was one that was top of mind for me at the moment that I'm trying to get through and then really just kind of wrap my head around. So that's the only thing I have.
I think that'll be exciting. I think learning about those standards and understanding how money and currency change, right? And because we're gonna see different things as we get older, as the world changes and becomes more digital, right? Because I think Corey and I could speak to, and I don't know if you've seen it, Ready Player One, right? People in this virtual world and it's kind of like dominated in here, right? So as we become more digitized, right? As we try to figure out how to get to Mars, like there's going to be a lot of changes. And the one I think you're on something with the cryptocurrency stuff, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Dogecoin or Ethereum, something may also replace the gold standard or the US dollar as the basic thing that everybody kind of associates money with. So I'm excited for that stuff though.
Yeah, man.
The reason I brought it up was because I was thinking about the T-Mobile money thing. There was a question in my mind. I was like, why would they do this? Or what are they trying to do? And it's like, everybody's trying to get into the money space now, right? And offer some kind of money, digital bank, something where they can have their foothold. And I'm just like, okay, I think I see where this is going. So just a thought.
Yeah, fintech is pretty hot. I know Demola, you recommended, hey, Corey, if you weren't sure how to get into, crypto, here's the Bitwise index. And unfortunately, I bought into it when it was like $65 or something like that. And I wanted to buy in some more, but it's kind of going up now that, Bitcoin's, going up, which is great. It's actually my highest performing index fund right now, which is weird. It's like 20-something%, like 25%. But I want to buy in more just to increase my cost basis a little bit. But no, that's been kind of my strategy, which is like, hey, let me just invest in this index. And as the different cryptocurrencies start performing well, or see some gains, that'll also work for me. So yeah, man. Well, all right, y'all. It's been a good chat as usual. Great Saturday. Great way to start Saturday morning. Great way to start the weekend. I've learned a thing or two, as always. Anyone out there listening or watching this, we hope you learned a thing or two as well. Let us know. Shoot us something in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you'd like for us to talk more about. We can certainly, maybe create some conversations around any questions you may have, or any other insights, or any other topic areas that we're familiar with. As both Elroy and Demola said, we are not financial advisors, but we are people who do want to help as much as we can, as best as we can. Elroy or Demola, do y'all have any other parting thoughts?
No, I think you said it best, man.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for your ears.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is the part where I'll say, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It always feels awkward, no matter how you say it. Either way, we can cut it out at the end if it sounds weird. Anyway, y'all have a great day.